Hey friends, Mrs. Crocker here again today. So, like I said, Monday when we did our assignment that I will be using tans again today, and we will. So make sure you have them off to the side so that we can use them when you need to. You'll be playing a game with it, or be creating your square, whichever one you want to do. Before we get into that, I want to talk about some shapes with you guys today. This whole unit's kind of based upon shapes, and there are certain attributes that we talked about and characteristics that they have that makes them their shape. Now I'm going to go over 6 vocab terms with you, and then after this you're going to need to complete a sheet that matches each of the vocab words with the shape. You will then need to match the definition to the shape and vocab word. But can you use this video to help you? Yes. Can you use the Google to help you? Yes. Okay. But I'm just going to go over the words so that you have an understanding of them. The first word I want to talk to you about is a polygon. So here is an example of a polygon. Okay, this is what a polygon looks like. Now, before I show you what the definition is, I want you to kind of look at the shapes that we have here, and I want you to think, looking at the examples they're giving me, what can I say a polygon is? Lots of choices. I want you to think about it. Okay. Now, the cool thing about a polygon is if you look at them, they're not all like shape looking the same, and usually they do. So a polygon is just a 2D shape. Okay, so it means it's flat, that's closed, and it has 3 or more sides. So it could have 25 sides, as long as it's closed and it's 2D. Okay, so a polygon is a closed 2D shape, which means it's flat, and it has 3 or more sides. So it could be an octagon, because an octagon has 8 sides. Okay, it could be a hexagon, because it has 6. So your first vocab word that we're going to be talking about today is a polygon. I'll leave him up there so you can think about him. Okay, so I'm going to write his characteristics right underneath him. Okay, so he's 2D, he's flat, and he has 3 or more sides, right? Okay, so I put his definition underneath him with his vocab word. Okay. The next shape we're going to be talking about is one I think you've all heard of. We did it in our number corner a few months ago, but this one is a quadrilateral. So thinking of a quadrilateral and looking at all of the examples they gave you, what would be some defining characteristics that you would say it would take to classify a quadrilateral? Give you a second to think about it. Look at all of them. And I always like to hint to my kids that the word quad, think quad is a clue. It's a root or a base that gives you the clue. Okay. Quad is also known as a 4. Like some people refer to, I'm going to ride my quad this weekend because it's a 4-wheeled vehicle. So a quadrilateral is a 2D flat shape that has 4 sides. That's all it has to have. Okay, so that's why they have so many different shapes, because all that they have to have is 4 sides and it has to be flat. Okay. So quadrilateral again, friends. If you're thinking about its characteristics, okay, it's 2D, it's flat, 4 sides. Okay. That's all it takes to be a quadrilateral. Our next friend, which happens to be a quadrilateral as well, but he's in another category because he has other characteristics, is a trapezoid. So looking at the 3 examples we have, what would it take to be a trapezoid? Let's think. They all look a little bit different, but the things that they have in common is 1, it's 2D, which means it's flat, has 4 sides, and it only has 1 set or 1 pair of parallel sides. So we'll go back to our shapes. This line, this side, and that side, they're parallel to each other. They will never intersect with each other. These 2 lines, they eventually will touch. Same thing here. These top two ones, they will never intersect because they're just going to keep going straight across. However, these two sides, if I kept continuing, they would eventually touch. Okay? So a trapezoid, our friend the trapezoid. Okay, he's again the two most common ones. He's 2D and he's flat. They have to have 4 sides. And it can only have 1 pair of parallel sides. Okay, friends. Next one. You guys all know, every time I bring it out, you're like, I know that, Mrs. Crocker. Okay, this one's the rectangle. So thinking about a rectangle, what are some attributes that a rectangle has to have to make him a rectangle? Okay, so let's turn around. 2D, flat. Okay, he has to have 4 sides. He has 2 pairs of parallel sides. Okay, so these are parallel to each other, and then these are going to be parallel. Same thing, 2. Okay, they'll never intersect, the sets won't. And it has 4 right angles. That means that all of its corners or its vertices are all right angles. Okay, which means it's a 90-degree, it forms an L. Okay, so rectangle, 2D, flat, same with all of them, 4 sides. Has to have 2 pairs of parallel sides and 4 right angles. Remember, it makes that L the 90 degrees. 4 right angles. Okay. 2 shapes left, friends. 2 shapes left. Okay. Square. Now, Mr. Square can sometimes be a rectangle. Okay, he fits into the category, but a rectangle can't be a square for one reason only. Okay, so a square, he's 2D, he's flat, he has 4 sides, but his sides are equal. Every single one of those sides in a square has to be the same. That's what makes him different than the rectangle. Okay, and he has 4 right angles. Okay, so some similar, very similar characteristics to Mr. Rectangle, but not the exact same. Okay, so he's 2D, he's flat, he's got 4 sides, 2 pairs of parallel sides, and all 4 right angles. That was a bad hint. 4 right. 4 right angles. Alright. Now, the last one that we're going to be talking about is a fun one. I like him. He is considered a parallelogram. Okay, now, one of the things that I teach my kiddos is that the thing about the parallelogram is he's kind of in his name. He kind of gives his attribute away right in his name. Okay, so the word parallel, if you think about that, look at your shapes. Okay. So a parallelogram is a 2D flat shape that has 4 sides, and its opposite sides are always parallel. Okay, so this side will always be parallel to him. He will always be parallel to him. This one to him, and this one to him. Okay, that's what make them. They always have 2 pairs of parallel sides. There's can't be more. Okay, can't be less. Okay, so our last shape is the parallelogram. Okay, again, he's 2D, he's flat, he's 4-sided, and 2 pairs of parallel sides. Which means they're never going to touch. Parallel always means, if they're opposite of each other, that they're never going to touch. Like I could have the same line keep going, okay, and they'll never touch. Okay. If they weren't parallel, they'll eventually intersect or hit one another. So that's what is the difference between parallel and not parallel sides. Okay, so friends, today your assignment is going to be, you're going to get a assigned sheet, and you're going to have to label the, I believe I put 6, since there's 6 vocab words, 6 shapes. You need to label what their names would be, and then you're going to label the definition. I have provided a word bank, and I will provide a definition bank for you guys, so that'll be a little easier for you. But you can look back at the video to remember the definitions that I did give. Okay. The second part that you're going to be doing today is you're going to take those tangrams and you're going to play with them today. Okay. There is a game called Tangram Polygons. And so you and whoever you want to play with, or just yourself, you don't have to play with anyone, are going to decide, do I want to only use 2, 3, no, 3, yeah, you can use 2, 3, 4, 5, or 7 of my tans to make a shape. Okay. So you would use your tans to try and make a square. So you are only allowed, say we decided to only use 2. You are only allowed to use any 2 of your tans to make a square. Okay. For example, friends, okay, I just have to bring it in. I could take my 2 little baby tans from yesterday. I could take D and E, and I could put them back together, and they form a square. And I would draw it there. Okay. You have to decide how many tans you're going to use, but whatever you use, you have to do it for the whole sheet. Okay, so then you'll move on to the rectangle. Which of my 2 tans can I use to make a rectangle? Now I will give you a little piece of advice. Depending on what you choose, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 7, there will be a shape you cannot form with your tans. That's the point. So which shape won't I be able to form with my tans? How many I decide. Okay? It differs. So if I decide 2, I can only use 2 tans. I can form most of the shapes except for 1. Well, if I decide to use 3 tans, it will be a different shape I can't form. Okay? So 2 assignments today, friends. Your vocab words, do the sheet, and then you're going to play Tangram Polygons. Okay, using your tans to see how many shapes you can form with them. Okay? Or if you're like, I don't really want to do that, Mrs. Crocker, I would like you to play with your tans though, and I want you to see if you can build that square. Okay. Any questions that you have? Make sure to reach out. Okay, but those are our 6 vocab words for today. Okay, friends, I hope you have fun with your tans and your vocab words.